Travis Wingitzel, Church News Time. Mental rape. It was tough finding the definition thing that Google normally has, because instead of just defining it as I put in here, all of this rape hotline crap. Come on, I want the definition. I typed in the definition. Don't give me crap. Anyway, mental rape, which I was just mentally raped by Google. The act of mental manipulation on a person or people to persuade them to do something, and I would add believe something they would not normally do, or I would add believe, and thus not requiring physical contact. The Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints mentally rapes every single Mormon to believe that Joseph Smith in 1838, I just added another one, was it this morning or was it last night? That Joseph Smith somehow snapped a twig in his brain and became a vile, evil monster, changing everything. But then forgot and kept going with the status quo until he was assassinated. And then Brigham Young kept the attacks going, claiming that all of it was true. Wait a minute. Question. I'm sorry, we don't answer questions. You'll have to report to your stake president for disciplinary action. Mental rape. And among those was the belief that Joseph Smith was a sexual deviant, rapist, little child rapist, stealing other men's wives, etc., etc., etc. Everybody knows the stories. Nobody seems to be willing to know the truth, except for one girl newly left the church who learned that there's no way that Joseph Smith wrote Section 138 because it has Brigham Young's fingerprints all over it in a linguistic pattern, science. And then another little girl who also left the church recently realized that Joseph Smith could not have been a polygamist because John C. Bennett's claims were lies. Good for you, girls. You didn't go through the right, proper scientific process, but good for you. Except for the one who linguistic pattern of Brigham Young, but she believed the other person who did the thing rather than doing it herself. Likewise with the other person on John C. Bennett. They found somebody to say something. We're working on you. We'll get you there. And so, Joseph Smith is dead. And there are two waves of polygamous sealings that occur. Joseph Smith is dead, remember? There are two waves of polygamous sealings. The first happened immediately. These were the secret women who were cheating on their husbands. That was in 1844. The next batch were others to be sealed who were not a part of the original slut whore group of Mormon women. It was 1846, January, Nauvoo Temple. Willard Richards, the big accuser of Joseph Smith raping lots of little girls, saying he sealed Joseph to them. Nope, it was all Willard Richards who married his sisters who were 14 and 16 years old. 1846, they kept the records. And despite making the records, they still lied, saying Joseph Smith was doing it in 1843. And so thus, Section 132 that magically appears in 1876 didn't exist prior to. There it is. Placed in the Joseph Smith history. Abominable. So, Brigham Young also brought out in 1844 for his Doctrine and Covenants, Section 119 that violates the Book of Mormon in numerous ways. It's priestcraft. The big clue for Mormons that it ain't legit. And yet, Brigham Young did it. And so, men now have to pay a prostitution price to be married, and to be married in polygamy, which means you need more money to take care of the more wives and thus pay a higher prostitution price. Plus, Brigham Young and those practicing polygamy fled the country with the polygamous wives, with Section 119 priestcraft. Yeah, that's called sex trafficking. So, the United States shut all that down. But it wasn't the polygamy. It was the sex trafficking that was actually shut down. The Perpetual Immigration Fund that was funding sex trafficking. Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints wants you to believe that it was about their religious freedom to practice polygamy. That's a lie. It was sex trafficking. And so, women's suffrage occurs, women get the right to vote. Church loves to claim that there was a token woman who voted. Church loves to claim that, Zena, she had priesthood powers of blessings, and so therefore we're true, even though they, denied the document on the 17th of March, 1842, in which it's very clear, plain, and precious that Joseph Smith said you can organize it any way you want. You can pattern after our administration for the church, having a Melchizedek priesthood for women and an Aaronic priesthood for women with the offices. It's up to you. You get to do whatever you want with it. You have power. You have authority. You have office. Brigham Young did away with it. Don't be fooled by the current Relief Society that was started 20 years after the murder of Joseph Smith. Brigham Young had an agenda to use women against the United States of America. And so, women are no longer allowed to have priesthood authority, power, and office. But Zena, she was special. Yeah, she had powers. She was giving blessings. Do you know what was involved in blessings back then? Women were washed and anointed and then blessed by Zena. And so Brigham Young and his apostles watched. Do you know what was involved with the washing and anointing of women and then the blessing by Zena? Are you too young to remember? Because it just barely was done away with. Because I remember when it was still done. We had a shield, finally. It was part of the initiatories. Where washings and anointings occur, along with blessings. Exactly what Zena was doing. Yeah, you're naked. Brigham Young and his apostles were watching naked women being washed, anointed, and blessed by Zena, one of the wives of Joseph Smith. But he was dead, so she was given to some other man. Was it Kimball, or who else was she given to? Young? She was given to Brigham Young. She was passed around. Let's see. Zena, Diantha, Huntington, Young. She was an activist. That's a contradiction in terms. You can't be Mormon and an activist at the same time. You'd be excommunicated. They allowed her special privileges because she exploited women for them. Oh, look, she's involved in 1838 too. Isn't that great? Yeah, Zena's father. Yep. Her father helped Brigham Young and the Danites coup Joseph Smith's church. And so he offered up his daughter Zena as the sacrificial offering to Brigham Young. These are the things that Expo Nevermost don't catch, because they don't put the pieces of the puzzle together. Dear God. Oh, yep. John C. Bennett conducted the ceremony. I've seen far too much on that. Dear God. So, in Equal Rights Amendment. Whoops, no. Introduced in Congress December 1923, when the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints was established. Heber J. Grant fooled the Mormons, because remember, it was shut down. And so, yeah, apparently he incorporated the church to shut down women. But unfortunately, it took a while, because it was not until 1971 that the Supreme Court extended equal protection to sex based on discrimination. That's the 14th Amendment. The 14th Amendment, 1868, and then the other, they don't say the other amendment for the women's right to vote. So I'm guessing it's 1971. Or approved in 1971. I don't see the... Hello? Where's the woman's right to vote? Women vote. 19th. Oh my God. How hard was that to put in there? And then Justice Scalia. Early history, but let's get to the part where it was rejected. Post-deadline ratifications. Here we go. Yeah, let's see. It was approved by the House of Representatives October 12th, 1971, and by the U.S. Senate on March 22nd, 1972, thus submitting the Equal Rights Amendment to the state legislatures for ratification, as provided by Article 5 of the United States Constitution. And 3 states refrained. Just needed one of them to ratify it, and it would be approved, with the 2 dissenting states. Guess which state was among the 3 that prevented equal rights, despite the 14th Amendment, Section 1, to get ratified? Yeah, Utah. The Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints specifically worked with evangelicals and others to prevent women from being equal. Abominable. Right, women? The church would eventually organize LDS family services. This was before Jesus was angry with LDS and Mormon. This was back when the church had a hospital, the LDS hospital, and an adoption agency. When Mormon girls got raped, they'd be sent to LDS Family Services. The little girls, already threatened by their bishop for being slut whores, sinners, and being excommunicated from the church for being raped, then went to Family Services. Anybody remember the videos I did about Mackenzie? She's modern day Mormon. Another little girl just recently left the church. And they would be told that they are to have the baby. Anybody remember the little news story this morning? Idaho women flee to Utah to have secret underground abortions because Idaho chased out all the OBGYNs with their new anti-women law. It's illegal to have an abortion in Utah. You can't get it. You're supposed to get it. You can't get it. They won't allow it. Whoever those women got the abortion from, those doctors are in great jeopardy now of losing their licenses, getting fired, and thrown in prison. Remember Elizabeth Smart? Yeah. Do you not think that Brian David Mitchell raped her? Got her pregnant? As a 14-year-old girl? Well, what happened to the baby? She had to go to Wyoming. They don't allow abortions in Utah. And so how these women got away with it in Utah, I don't know. Good for you. But your lives are in danger. And the lives of the doctors are in danger once somebody finds out. Utah News exposing that. Fox, wasn't it? Fox 13 News Utah? Trying to get those doctors and women in trouble. And so, yeah. And then after they have the baby is taken from them as they sign all rights away for it and give it to the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints adoption agency that back then was for good, righteous man and woman who were rich and could afford to pay the human trafficking price of the baby to give it a better lifestyle than their raped mother, who's an evil, apostate, anti-Mormon, antichrist, Korah whore now. Disgraced and humiliated, booted out of the church. And if you don't believe that, then you're unfamiliar with BYU, the church's educational system, where girls who got raped at BYU were not only excommunicated, forced to have the baby and give it up to the church's human trafficking operation, to rich Mormons who are righteous because of their wealth, but they were also booted out of BYU. Yeah, that's been a big scandal, still continued to this day. And so when gays were given the right to marry, and then they pushed for equal rights to adopt children, because, you know, the science, 2 men cannot produce babies. Can't be done. And so they wanted to adopt babies. They don't want to have a relationship with a real woman and have sex with a real woman to have a family. So the church said, we're out. We're not doing this adoption agency anymore because our religious freedom does not agree with the values and beliefs of gays. This is a sad reality that's involved. Mackenzie, as with many other women here in Utah, Mormon women, girls, each woman's body is different and handles their puberty differently. And for some, it impacts them more severely than others. And those who have their menstrual cycles, it's tougher on them than other women. And in the state of Utah, it's considered a mental illness. Bipolar. And so you're put into the LDS family services. You're told you have a mental retardation because of your menstrual cycle. You're too hysterical. You do know that's the origin definition of hysterical. So any prophet that uses the word hysterical, you know, Nelson, the woman across from me on the plane was hysterical. I'm not afraid to die, though. And so these women are now drugged. Other women are labeled as depressed because of the sexual mental rape of the church prophets. They are incapable of turning that frown upside down. So they're mentally retarded now. And they too are drugged. And now we're finding out that depression drugs cause heart problems. It shortens your lifespan. And Utah Mormon women are the highest per capita on drugs for depression. Still going. There's more. Church hates women. And women, like a victim of abuse, denies they're being abused by these prophets. See, Mackenzie's story, in case you didn't hear, as a 15-year-old girl, she says that she was sexually abused, and we don't know how far it went and what was consisted, she doesn't say, by a priesthood leader who was married, obviously. She told people about it, and they covered it up and hid it. That's the other one in the temple. Hopefully I get to it. I hope I remember. I don't have a script. It's going off the top of my head. And so, the abuser got away, continued to live his life. She continued in the church, and she says that when she was 23, she decided to try going on a mission. Went in for the bishop's interview. Bishop asked her if there's anything in your life that has not been reported to the proper priesthood authorities but needs to be. Tell me now. Get graphic, get specific. If you need me to help you demonstrate physically on your body what needs to be done so that I can understand how to help you, please tell me. And so she said, oh, I was 15 years old, priesthood leader sexually assaulted me, and he got away with it. The bishop, in a panic and sweating profusely from his palms, called the hotline. The hotline said, send her to family services for disciplinary action. So yeah, family services said she's depressed, gave her drugs, and said she can't go on a mission. She's too mentally retarded for a mission. She's still on the drugs. She still believes she has legitimate depression, for which she's drugged. She couldn't see the connection that was, and the abuse that was done to her. In the temples, their endowment ceremony, or the sealing ceremony, women are slaves, sex slaves, to their husband. That's always been the case. It's never been changed. The text wording is still the same. Women are sex slaves to their husbands. So, to help enforce this for women, Brigham Young, not Joseph, set up 5 laws. There was actually a 6th one, which was death to America. But ever since the United States came down and shut it down, they went away. Poof, gone. But law of obedience. Yeah, women obey their husbands. I've been telling you numerous stories about this. Many women older than me know damn well that's what was in the church and the temple endowment. And so Benson changed it in 1991. Women now hearken to the counsel of her husband as he hearkens unto the counsel of father. And still obey. He's just trying to manipulate women by raping them mentally to change definitions. To try to trick women to thinking they're free, that they now can wear the pants in the family. And yes, you get those women who become weapons of the church because of this abuse. They take it out on their husband, who didn't do anything wrong other than pay the prostitution price for her. You're a prostitute. Obey me. I pay a lot of money and work hard for that money for you to be my sex slave. Only to be abused. No sex for you. You got the doghouse tonight. Again. SNL on the couch. That is our theme song in the description below. That was an awesome song. On the couch. The guy is not so innocent in the song, though. And so, it's worse in the temple. There's more. Because Lucifer, ooh, that serpent, the one-eyed poisonous serpent, runaway bride. What is her name? I always forget her name. The one who played a whore in another movie. Prostitute. Give me your name. Come on, don't show me your face. It's Julia Roberts. Oh dear God. Which you can use any of those songs. Lady Red Light, Roxanne. Smooth Operator. That's for the men. And so, yeah, Lucifer. Adam and Eve are created naked. They're not ashamed of their nudity. The Bible author makes that very clear. And then the one-eyed poisonous serpent comes to Eve. Lilith is out of the picture, by the way. She wanted to have sex on top. Adam said no, it has to be the missionary position. And so she went into the garden and abandoned Adam. Adam cried to Heavenly Father, and Heavenly Father gave him Eve, compliant, submissive. And then Lilith, upset, promised to be the avenging angel in the middle of the night, coming through windows to murder babies, to murder the Christ in the latter days. The Sid syndrome. Unless the Jewish parents had the little amulet of Elijah above the baby's crib. And so, yeah, Lucifer is the one who points out to Adam and Eve, you're naked. There are just so many things to add to this video that I'm just not going to bother. I'm just going to tell you them. We're already at 34 minutes. But just be assured, I've got them. I've used them in the past. And so, yeah. Cover up and hide. Be ashamed. Feel guilty. That is Lucifer's doctrine concerning the human body. Lucifer's doctrine. It is not Heavenly Father's plan of happiness for his children, which is orgasms. Is that 2 Nephi 9? It's part of what I got banned from the church for. I did a YouTube video. Book of Mormon is true. And the bishop trapped me at church. He said, why do you bother coming to church if you're going to preach that the Book of Mormon is true because it goes against the prophets? Huh? Well, if the prophets are going against the Book of Mormon, then they're in the wrong. And then I would go to find out that Brigham Young was responsible for the murder of Joseph Smith, and I'm not coming back ever, no matter what Mormons create as a threat to get me back into the church. No matter what flavor Kool-Aid, I ain't coming back. Murder disqualifies the church from being true. It's even in Brigham's section 132. Can't do it, Brigham, and then you did it. And so, wow. Should have thought of that before you created section 132, Brigham. All right. Adam fell. Do you know who's missing in that? Adam fell. Do you know who's missing? Because I found it in the Egyptian documents. So I did it. The Book of Mormon is true. Adam fell. Who's missing? Women, can you help us out? Who's missing? I dare you, go through your Book of Mormon, every single passage with Eve. Look it up in the Book of Mormon. And then go to Adam in the Book of Mormon. Adam fell. Are you still not catching on? Do you need to go to section 29, verses 36 and 40 to help you out? And right. 1. 2 Nephi chapter 2, right before telling us that Joseph Smith is our Christ, to prepare the way for our latter-day Christ, whom you've all missed. Latter days are over with. It's now utter destruction time, which we've been told it's all being prepared for this election year. You're all going to die. Good job, everybody. Now I got to live in a cave. Verse 22. If Adam had not transgressed, there would have been no children. Verse 23. You got to know your English grammar and sentence construction to see what I did there. And so Adam fell that man might be. Men are that they might have joy. If Adam had not transgressed, they would have had no children. Now, the church is anti-science, and thus anti-sex ed, which is another abuse of women and men together. The state of Utah's public school systems embrace the doctrines of Lucifer of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, because the keystone of Lucifer is on the keystone of the doors of the Salt Lake Temple. Thus, that's why they embrace Lucifer's doctrine against women. To cover up and hide, be ashamed, feel guilty. To not teach kids sex ed. Can't do it. Don't even show them what a woman looks like. She needs to be covered up and hidden. Any breastfeeding mother must be locked up in prison and separated from her baby, which should be put into human trafficking adoption agencies. Preferably by the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. They want to bring it back. They need Zion to do that, though. They want to bring back all of their abominations, but they need to overthrow the government first in order to do it. They're working very hard. Utter destruction's coming. If the church can't have their kingdom, then everybody dies. Oh, look, there's the Messiah who comes in the latter days. Not the Roman period. Go figure. And thus the church, because of this anti-science, anti-sex ed policy of Lucifer, attack women who are not Mormon to cover them up and hide them. Porn. All graphic images, regardless of the artistic medium used, even if it's just the human body itself, are protected under the wording, even though it's all been overthrown by our government officers and Supreme Court justices. But nonetheless, all forms of representing a woman's body and the act of sex are, by definition of existence, aesthetic, scientific, and educational. The church is a denialist. They deny science, they deny art, they deny education, sex ed. And so everybody needs to be weaponized against truth, to shame and guilt trip and punish, to enforce their religious beliefs with threats of violence. Alma, chapter 1, on Nehor. Article of Faith number 13 comes from the writings of Paul. We believe in being honest, true, chaste, benevolent, virtuous, and in doing good to all men. Indeed, we may say that we may follow the admonition of Paul. We believe all things. Kind of impossible to do. I believe Lucifer's plan of happiness and the real plan of happiness. I can't do that. I had a date with a woman who said she believes all things. I said, well, you can't. And, oh, well, yeah, okay. We hope all things. We have endured many things, and we hope to endure all things. If there is anything virtuous, lovely, of good report, or praiseworthy, and thus the image of woman and the act of sex, we're supposed to seek after it. Oh, no, we can't seek after it, Travis. No. Yes. You are confused with the scripture, translated incorrectly into English, as whosoever looketh upon a woman to lust after her, denieth the faith, and is an anti-Mormon, anti-Christ Korahor. No. You've not understood the meaning of the original Greek word for woman. It means a female who has had babies. Remember, during the Roman period time when these were written, women had to be paid for the prostitution price by a man. And so any babies can only come from him, not some other men's babies, like that Mary woman in those gospel stories who was raped and then tried to trick Joseph into having him raise her baby. It's amazing how the whole theme today, I came up with the theme before I saw the church news article this evening. Who's in tune? Jesus is a rape baby because of Christianity. The Jewish author didn't intend it to be a rape baby per se. There's a different symbolic meaning involved in it. And it did come to pass, in case you were wondering. But you don't believe. You missed it all. Latter days are over. We're now waiting for the consequences of your evil and abomination of utter destruction. You know, like the Book of Mormon tells you and warns you, just as Joseph warned you, specifically warning Mormons, because only Mormons believe in the Book of Mormon, supposedly. Only Mormons would be listening to Joseph Smith, not the rest of the world. And so thus the warning is to Mormons specifically. Now, yes, the rest of the world would like to know if they would believe, but when you're going around telling everybody that the Book of Mormon is another testament of Jesus Christ and that Joseph Smith saw Jesus, it kind of turns people off. Because then they start reading the Book of Mormon and go, hey, this is Jewish. You're lying to me. And so, yeah, the actual commandment is not to impregnate other men's wives. Now, yes, the law of Moses talks about, animal sex, and murdering the animal along with the two, or the man or woman who were involved, but that's a different thing. And I learned this morning that the German word from Luther's Bible is not homosexuality, it's boy rape. Must be a problem in Germany. Just like in the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, but that's with boys. We're talking about how women are raped in the church. And so, how many more things? Oh yeah, women are supposed to die. All this time under Brigham Young, if a woman is immoral, she's supposed to die. If a woman has children or marries a black man, because she can't get married in the temple, church didn't allow blacks. And so having a sexual relationship with a black man, both people, the Mormon girl slut and the black man, are supposed to be murdered and baby prevented from being born. The church is anti-abortion, and yet they're okay with murdering to prevent the baby. And then they decided, okay, fine, if the United States won't allow us to murder the sinners, then we'll have an adoption agency. And so the church, as a person who helped confirm that, because he was a victim of it, commented about how the church in the 80s was still ordering Mormons not to have unnatural sex in the bedroom, and forcing Mormon couples that every time you have sex, it's for the purpose of having a baby. You have to understand the law of chastity is not the law of chastity, it's the law of marriage. But Heber J. Grant had to change things because of the United States, because it was polygamy. And why they couldn't just say the law of marriage, I don't know. They called it the law of chastity because they have to take away the agency of others. Deny sex ed. No masturbation. No orgasms. The church was denying condoms. That's unnatural. No blowjobs, no handjobs. It's all just masturbation, different names for it. I was in the younger singles ward, and one Sunday for fast and testimony meeting, the bishop gets up and takes up the whole time because he doesn't want to hear these little kids no kidding, it was Riverton. The whole sacrament meeting, he takes up the whole time. He doesn't want to hear the little kids anymore. He's fed up with them. He goes and lists, and apparently it was all off the top of his head. I couldn't tell if he was reading from a list. I had no idea what any of them were. I didn't even know that ZZ Top's pearl necklace was one of them. Until then. All of the different names for the different types of masturbation. Oh, Mormons. And so, yeah, there's lots of sexual deviance in this church. Not just what you hear on the news. You hear about the swingers of Draper and the religious Mormons who believe that in the celestial kingdom it's a free-for-all orgy fest. We're all friends. It's all based on love. And so you're justifying it to do the act on earth. There are those among us who are sexually deprived. And so, yeah, sex abuse, not just women being weapons against men, sabotaging the marriages, because no masturbation, and all of a sudden the woman not given sex ed is finally introduced to her master, and he wants sex a lot. That's weird. A woman can go without sex for a whole lifetime. What's up with men? There's sexual pervs. Well, a woman needs to put him in his place and say, no, I'm not ready for a child yet. No sex on the couch for you tonight. And thus, the church causes Mormons to commit sexual abuse against each other. All the rapes in Utah. It's amazing that there are any women who have not been raped in Utah. Makes me cry. Back in 2020, the Salt Lake County was forced to process all the rape kits that they just piled up in a room. Over thousands of them. Unprocessed. The rapists got away with their crimes. Mormon women raped, never getting justice in Utah. Starting to catch on of how abominable this church is yet. Did I cover it all? Or is there more? Like I said, it's all off the top of my head. And so, yes, idol worship. When you turn women into objects, they now have moral or spiritual powers, not their minds and their hearts connected, but just their bodies. You are turning them into an idol to fear or worship. That's what the church is doing when they attack porn, to cause you to fear women, to shame women, to force women to cover up and hide. And there's the infamous one that went national, if not worldwide, of a BYU student boy who sent a letter anonymously to a fellow female student saying that she needs to cover up and hide because she's in violation of BYU's honor code for dress. And she did a selfie of what she was wearing. Upon getting the letter, she was fully covered, layered, with leggings, long sleeves. And yet that boy from BYU was serious. And the letter and her picture went worldwide. And I have it somewhere. Like I said, I'm not putting it all. We're over almost getting to an hour now. Because this is an important one. And for those who have run away, don't want to listen, don't want to see no evil, hear no evil, or speak no evil, you've run away because this is too hard for you to handle, that this church is so abominable on this issue, which should have been the first obvious clue that this isn't true, especially when they blame it on Jesus. The church has always been anti-porn. Benson, at my 16th conference in April, Metallica just came out with Master of Puppets, and the Master of Puppets gets up at the pulpit of conference to say that don't listen to Master of Puppets, despite quoting this. Article of Faith number 13. And saying that pregnancy is a pernicious evil. He's quoting Miracle of Forgiveness by Spencer W. Kimball, who quoted Packer as an elder at a general conference in the 70s. In the 1970s, making it the law of the church. Not just turning our ratings into an idol god to fear. As a woman who was an anti-Mormon, anti-Christ whore because she didn't submit to her master as a 16-year-old girl. She was still single in the older singles ward. Menace to society. Her field of study for her career was about the whole slave ships from Africa. And so when, was it Steven Spielberg did the movie? Amistad. Yep, Spielberg. She knew all about the subject matter. That was her career in school. She knew about the abominations and the graphic nature of the violence and mistreatment and inhumanity. But Amistad is rated R. She was all excited until the rating came out. And then she was distraught. She knew all about it. She knew what she was going to get going into it. In case you didn't know, Steven Spielberg also did the one on the Holocaust, which is a brilliant movie also. Just brings me to tears. And yes, he graphically shows the naked women who have been abused by the Nazis going. At the end of World War II, the United States and other allied nations gave asylum to psychologists who were torturing the Jews, who falsely accused the Jews of having mental retardation to perform the human experiments, making up illnesses to justify it, because there is no such thing. Psychology is a fraud. They deny science. They will not use logical Socratic methodology. They use fallacy arguments, automatically identified as false, criminally abusive false. Remember, family services. They were put to work with the CIA, and not too long ago the government released the documents of all the abuses to try to brainwash the masses of Americans for behavioral control. Stanley Smith Stevens, Mormon, was the big abominable person who set up the dichotomy and dichotomous and non-dichotomous categorization of human behavior. You can't do that. It's a fallacy argument. You can use it to classify a tomato or a tomato as a fruit rather than a vegetable, but you can't use it on human behavior because it's not the causation. A single causation can produce numerous human behavioral responses. But nope, psychology does away with all of that. And it's called a self-fulfilling prophecy through bullying, where a psychologist is a bully, insulting people, calling them retarded, telling the people that they need to pay the psychologist to be helped of their retardation, for which there is no cure because there is no problem of a causation. It is not a field of science. We still haven't even gotten to the church news article, because this is so important for you. And so Jody Hildebrandt is in prison now. She's a psychologist. She's one who got caught. There's a whole asylum in Midvale or West Jordan, whatever, that's now shut down because of all their abuses. The state of Utah tried to see if they wanted to sell the state asylum. They were supposed to do away with psychologists when Kennedy signed the order. Nope. The Nazis were not thanking their American liberators. They were instead plotting to overthrow America out of revenge. And they've won. Utter destruction this year. Yay, you're all gonna die. I'm gonna live in a cave. And so thus the church, with psychology, mentally rape Mormons and take down as many others as they can. Are we ready to go to the church news article yet? Nope, I still am coming up with more off the top of my head. Holland used to be one who would talk to this anti-humanity conference group of human haters and told them that pornography is just like COVID. You look at a picture, you die. She's got the looks that kill. Awesome song. This is abominable. This is a sexual abuse of women. Because they're not talking about guys flashing their penis per se. They obviously, I don't know, maybe they do like it. But most of the attacks are against women. You know, they do protest too much. And so, yes, Holland goes on to get COVID. Had a great time with those videos. He's a medical doctor. Renland. He knows better. Anybody remember Natasha Helfer? Yeah, she was a psychologist. But for some strange reason that we still have yet to determine and understand, he was using medical science for her clients, telling them that women are not addictive. Women do not cause illness. Because mental retardation. Women don't do it. They don't cause. They're not the cause. When the church says, Nelson, October 2023 conference, from his wheelchair, said that porn is addictive. Continuing the pattern of abuse towards women. It's not addictive. Again, idol worship. Hello? These guys push idolatry on you. Whose plan of happiness was that again? Whose symbol, which is on the keystone of the doors of the Salt Lake Temple? Right out in the open for you. So that you would know who these men are. Natasha Helfer said that women are not addictive. They are not a cause of mental illness or retardation of any kind. And that masturbation as a biological need in order to perpetuate the human species is not harmful. And thus, it's not a harm or a threat to children. The threat to children is lack of sex ed. And the church, because this is their agenda instead, fired her and excommunicated her because she wouldn't retract to support the church, to cave to the threats of the church, and so they destroyed her life, just like they did to September 6. Avraham Gileadi talked about that Jewish Christ. Oops. He caved and denied the truth and said that the church is true. He gave in to the Danite threats. Remember? Those Danite threats are still being perpetuated to this day. Whether you believe it's faith promoting or doubt promoting. They've got everybody to deny Joseph Smith and the Book of Mormon. They've distracted you from the truth. And so the ills, there are no ills of pornography. Pornography was a created word by evangelicals to associate with females because they were anti-nudity. And thus, Heber J. Grant, in creating the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, 1923, was evangelical Christian. Just Jesus is non-Trinitarian. And so porn comes from the poiné in Greek, which means prostitute. And prostitute is two Greek words combined together. Pro, before, in front of. Statute, statue, statute, something carved in stone. Before the carving of stone. In the Greek and into the Roman period, women who didn't get bought as a prostitute, didn't have parents to take care of them, would be given to the temple to work as a temple worker. And the Greeks were the ones who established that women could reenact the procreation of the human race, and thus the act of creation, by men who come and pay for their temple rituals. And so these women were sacral prostitutes. And so when they were not in the act of the ritual endowment ceremony, they hung out front before the statues of the Greek deities and the pillars of stone that made the temples. So the people walking by would see them and be reminded of their temple covenant path. And thus the story of Mary being in the temple. The Catholic Church didn't like that, and so that was excluded from their Bible. But it needs to be put in. It's prophecy of the Latter-day Mormon Christ, but it doesn't matter anymore. You are headed for utter destruction now. You don't believe. But nonetheless, that's where prostitutes come from. They were standing before the statues. And so when you see fornication in the scriptures, it's not single people touching each other and playing doctor. Nope. It's temple workers. The Jewish belief was not to engage in the cultural traditions of the Greeks and Romans. Thus, no temple sex. So then there's Judah with Tamar, and Sodom and Gomorrah, which is the Roman version, because that was now men that was involved in that. And so thus the Genesis account was written during the Roman period of time, not the Greek period of time. That's how you know, through linguistic science. And so, graphy, yeah, that's an art medium. And so thus, before the statues, graphs before the statues, that's an art museum. But evangelicals corrupted the definition to say that it's nudity and sexual activity. And so over the century, I don't want to go into 2 centuries yet, evangelicals and the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints has been anti-new technology, because with every new technology, it's usually a guy who invents it, and yeah, it's for the artistic medium of women naked, because women is the most beautiful form of art in the universe. If there's anything lovely, of good report, and praiseworthy, and religion attacks to shame and guilt and punish. So whether it's photographs, whether it's magazines, whether it's VHS tapes, whether it's in music, whether it's in literature, Heber C. Kimball or Spencer W. Kimball said he stapled shut the Song of Solomon, not inspired by Jesus. It's very inspired. Women are the map to Zion. Doesn't matter, you'll never go. We're not going to have Zion anymore, so you don't need the map. She's the treasure map. And you denied, and here you are, the consequences, utter destruction. Women's bodies are symbolically designed as the map to Zion. And yeah, men have to be a part of that process, but ugh. You ever gone to facsimile number 2? Church wants to do away with it. They don't want anything to do with translation and those ancient pagan heathens. Nothing inspiring in those documents. Count the number of penises. Peni. I dare you. Give you a hint, there's more than one. They're not banning that from us, are they? Yeah, this is part of the hypocritical nature. Hippocratic oath to do no harm, as Renland, a medical doctor, is causing harm by saying that porn is a sickness. He needs to lose his license and never practice medicine ever again. He violated his Hippocratic oath. Just like Nelson did. Nelson's a medical doctor too. And so he says that it can be overcome. Really? With conversion therapy? That wasn't stopped until 2021. Church wants it back. The restoration of all things. And so thus healing is possible with willingness, education. But you're anti-sex ed. You're doing anti-sex ed. See, no, he's not talking about education. He's abusing the definition. He's talking about miseducation. Misinforming the public. We must misinform the public to cause fear of porn so that it can be covered up and hidden from everybody, and then everything will be fine. There won't be rapes at all. Men won't sexually desire women anymore. The human race will die. Because now you just use faith. Women, you feel that you're pregnant. Science can't tell you the truth like your feelings can. You feel pregnant. You feel there's a baby in your womb. Science says no, there is no baby. They don't know the truths of the Spirit that is a personal witness to your burning boobs. That what your truth is true. You feel it with every fiber of your being, and that boy raped you. He needs to be punished because he didn't want to marry you. And he got you pregnant because you feel it. But he has to go on a mission and become a general authority, so he gets away with it. Hard work? Really? Is it hard work? That is the old white supremacist slave owner belief. That you have to work hard. That working smart, no. They're anti-intelligence, especially after September 6th. No more science for any Mormon, proving the church false. And then faith and appropriate treatment. And an anti-porn. Familiar with the pro-Palestinian? Yeah, Fox News calls it correctly. It's pro-terrorist or anti-Jew. These are all terrorists because they deny history. They deny October 7th. When he says anti-porn, he's denying art, education, and science, all rolled up into one. He's a denialist. He is the enemy of mankind. He is seeking to mentally rape anyone who will believe him or be punished by those who believe him, having been turned into a weapon by him. And so, during the 2024 Utah Coalition Against Pornography Conference, elder medical doctor Dale G. Renland of the Quorum of the 12 Apostles gave a non sequitur red herring fallacy argument. Nails. All the nails in the palms of Jesus' hands and feet. It's porn. 12-inch nails. 12 nails. He's mocking the Christianity, using it as a non sequitur argument, a red herring to these frothing people who want to attack humanity, using porn as the weapon. Anti-sex ed. These people who attend this are already believing this. And so they love it when a religious leader gets up and supports their beliefs of anti-humanity or inhumanity. And so he's trying to claim that you have to interlock the 12 nails in order to balance them on the one. And that's like porn. The two horizontal nails were the key, with one representing a person affected by pornography, and the other representing faith in a higher power. Kool-Aid. Mental health professionals and others. The 12 nails represent family, friends, that one app that points out to others on the app what porn you're watching, ecclesiastical leaders, mental health professionals, and others who can help lift the person impacted by pornography. Again, there is nothing harmful. They constantly repeat it's evil, it's sinful, it's harmful, and those who believe are the ones who are bullied into self-fulfilling the self-fulfilling prophecy that they just did to you. So that they claim, oh, it wasn't us, he's the one who's affected by porn. He says so himself, he's guilty. And they wash their hands of their guilt. And then they go to prison. Their asylum is shut down. They get fired and excommunicated for using science and education. I'm just surprised this wasn't at the women's conference last week. The prophets failed to show for that one. There's usually a representative who gives the keynote speaker address. They left it up to the Relief Society president to do that as well, because the Relief Society president usually opens with her talk. But not this year. The prophets abandoned them this year. And so, Elder Renland, Utah Coalition Against Humanity, had their conference on the 4th of May on Saturday. He was joined with anti-humans Dan Gray, a licensed fake science clinical social worker. Ooh, social worker. Wow. I'm a glorified secretary. I'm a glorified janitor. That's all he is. He's a nobody. That's a nothing field. Social workers are the ones who work for a company that's charitable, that provides help to those in need, and they help facilitate it by the providing of the goods or money to those in need. That's all a social worker is. It's not even a psychologist. And so, yeah, it's a grunt worker. And they can't do anything unless they get funding. Because they facilitate. So he's worthless. And yet he's an authority on porn, huh? Oh, he's a man. That must mean it's true. The prophets are men. It must mean it's true. Just turn it off. Don't look. You'll go blind and die. Who specializes in addictions counseling? Yeah, just like Jody Hildebrandt. That's her. That's her job. Boom! There he is. She's in prison. He's still free. And Jill Manning, who holds a doctorate, from BYU, in marriage and family therapy. Yep. She couldn't get an MRS degree, and so she got a BS doctorate. She specializes in treating individuals impacted by infidelity or compulsive sexual behavior. Is eating a compulsive behavior? It can be, but normally no. Is sleeping a compulsive behavior? Can be, but normally no. It's a basic necessity. We have to eat, we have to sleep. It's not an addiction. If you eat when you're hungry and you're not traumatized to shame your body and barf up your food, to be anorexic, which is a medical problem caused by the abuse of others. But again, psychologists step in and say it's your fault, you're to blame, you're mentally retarded. Or you eat too much and become obese. Again, you're to blame, you're mentally retarded. Stay away from Ozempic. If you've not heard the news, it will kill you. All drugs from the pharmaceutical companies will kill you. Don't do it. Psychiatrists are the ones who are the drug pushers for the pharmaceutical companies. They are not bound by a Hippocratic oath that a real medical doctor is. And so, yeah, where was the thing about evangelicals and other, ecclesiastic leaders, evangelicals? And so, yeah, this is abominable. Natasha Helfer exposed this whole thing, and the church is still doubling down. No, Natasha Helfer was wrong. And so we've got a new doctor who's stepping up to defend our position. We have compromised her. She is a hater of women. Which, yeah, the prophets are laughing over this. We got a woman to say that women are evil. Just like we had blacks to say that blacks were fence sitters in the premortal council of heaven. Just as we got Jews to join the church and denounce Judaism and claim Christian Jesus, non-Trinitarian. They love that. That's a white supremacist thing, by the way, in case you didn't know. They use people to push their agenda. And then they'll will betray you and stab you in the back when they have no need for you anymore, when they get their kingdom. And so, Elder Renlund says, my church, the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, and I condemn pornography in any form. Women, you are condemned. He just said it. Your body is porn. He just said the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints' official policy, official doctrine, official forced belief upon Mormons is that women are condemned. Women damage individuals. Women damage families. Women damage societies. Now you got to know English in order to understand what I just did. Because he says he condemns pornography. What is pornography? The image of a woman's body. Put it in. Woman's body damages individuals. A woman's body damages families. A woman's body damages societies. Does it? Or is it the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints? This is beam and mote to the extreme. This is projectionism to the extreme. This is protesting too much to the extreme. This is an all-out attack on women. This is a hate group. This needs to be shut down and locked up. Every single one of these people. In prison with Jody Hildebrandt. They're seeking to destroy America. Religious freedom. And then he says, women's bodies draw us away from God. I just told you it's the map to Zion. When I was having sex, 1 or 2 times, I was inspired. I was learning about the scriptures. The creation story? Sex. Moses? Parting the waters? Sex. That's the revelation I'm getting. I've known about this for decades, because that's how long it's been. And here he is saying no. Women are not inspiring. Women are not muses. Women are damaging. They are not inspiring. They do not lead you to God. Bleep you. I really want to slip on this one. I'm hearing a thunder roll. I thought, not supposed to be any rain anymore. It's gone. And impairs our ability to feel the influence of the Holy Spirit. Wrong. He turned it into an idol. Women's bodies are now an idol to fear. Because all forms of pornographic material. Where do we draw the line? He says all, everything. Women must be now hidden from society. Not just covered up, even the veil of the face of Islam. Women have to be hid from society. And so we're going to have to implement arranged marriages. It'll have to be righteous priesthood holders that only get married in polygamy. And once a woman begins to bleed and old enough to breed, again, my white supremacist peers as little kids told me this, have to be assigned to a priesthood holder who's righteous, keep them in a harem in the basement, chained up until it's time for them to breed, which is every year. No education, no career, no mission, breeding. Locked up from the rest of the world. No friends other than your sister wives, who are all there to support you to turn your frown upside down. Otherwise, you have to be sent to a psychologist who drugs you to murder you. This is the purest evil of evil, because it's the great and abominable church. Right there in the Book of Mormon, for all Mormons to know, and yet too much Kool-Aid drinking from the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints is abusing women. Looks like this is going to be tomorrow's video. This is just unhealthy, to say the least. Bleep you, Renland. I really want to start yelling out. And I only yell out at Nelson and Oaks during General Conference because of their abominable speeches. Rarely do I get so riled up with the others that I yell at the screen. But oh dear God, that woman who said that, incited Mormons to throw rocks at heathen apostates. She didn't understand the story of David and Goliath, but then used it for her agenda to incite violence against those who do not believe as a Mormon believes. Yeah, I was yelling at the screen on that one. I think I told you in the video that I did on that. I did the picture. Nobody cared to watch it. YouTube shut me down this conference. The first time ever I got silenced for conference. And yes, YouTube is a part of this attack on women. YouTube is a graphic site of artistic, scientific, and educational videos. All are to be allowed. What is not allowed are those who commit crimes in their videos. You know, like promoting the genocidal murder of Jews, as Iman from MSNBC did this morning in the clip that he had. He was denying October 7th. He needs to be fired. Video needs to be banned by YouTube. But YouTube doesn't ban violence. I did the video where I checked, after saying it as a joke, that YouTube attacks women, hides their channels, if not banning them, for, oh no, boobs. Harmful to kids. Addictive. But then allows how to build a bomb for kids. Yep. YouTube did it with the 2 examples I ran the test for. The women's channels were blurred so that kids couldn't see them, and thus if they clicked on the video, they'd be told to sign in to prove their age. But how to build a bomb? Nope. A kid can go in and watch a video on how to build a bomb since they're denied guns at school. This is messed up. That our society has devolved this low because of Christianity. This must stop. But this is what they're doing. All of this is to destroy our civilization, destroy our nation, so that the church can then get their kingdom back. That's why they're so abominable. They're doing this on purpose. They know there is no harm in porn. They watch porn. They're medical doctors. They know. They are purposely lying and deceiving to rile this audience up, to then go out and attack, to keep pushing for laws to be changed so that women are no longer citizens with equal rights. That's what anti-abortion is. All the states banning abortion, Roe v. Wade overturned the 14th Amendment, Section 1. Women no longer are equal. Sperm, embryo, and fetus now have rights. Women don't. And women are under attack. And the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints are the puppet masters pulling those strings to attack women, to destroy America, and thus the rest of the world, so that they can get their kingdom back and restore, child, bride, polygamy. The lowest of sexual deviance that mankind can devolve to. Like I said, beam and mote to the extreme. So, I think I got everything. I'll probably get a whole bunch of revelation afterward. I bet if I were to watch porn, I'd be inspired for more stuff. But porn is sex ed. It's educational. You learn how to do things. Now, yes, the porn industry they purposely do this because of religion. Sex with your brother and sister, parents to children, cousins, and all that stuff. Because of religion. But they're not actual brother and sister. They're actors and actresses. And because of laws protecting children, children are not allowed to have sex in this industry. You have to be over 18, legal, in other words, and consenting. You cannot be kidnapped and then recorded being raped and have that be counted as art, sex ed, or scientific. But it's just abominable what's going on. But yeah, just in and of itself, how to have sex. Yeah, the Kama Sutra. Yeah, it's a sex ed book. The different positions to use. Not harmful, yet the church has just said it's an illness. It's unhealthy. It's an opposition to its production, dissemination, and use is warranted. Kama Sutra, dear God. Pure evil, but that's why they're doing it. They want people to believe or deny, and those who deny, the church believes and tells Mormons to believe that they're the extremists who are having orgies and getting STDs and getting viruses online from watching the sites, which Christians are responsible for spreading the viruses online, by the way. Utah just caught a whole bunch of guys who are involved in cyber terrorism. Utah, Mormons, cyber terrorists, a group, an organized group of cyber terrorists, Mormons, here in Utah. And there's still more that weren't caught, all helping the church. The YouTube Mormon employee, YouTube can't control the whole world from San Francisco. They have people in various parts of the world over an area. And so Utah has a Mormon who works for YouTube over the Utah area. And he's the one who's been attacking me all these years. This is a concerted effort to get this whole thing out of proportion to cause destruction. It's an extremist view that it's either our way of abstinence only or it's deviant, degrading porn. And those who get an STD, who get cyber attacked, who destroy the family, like the Together Forever video and audio tape that I heard on my mission. Pretty soon the women at the office start looking better and better, and your family starts looking worse and worse, and before you know it, boom, you've lost everything. What they didn't tell you is that the wife is nagging him. She's complaining. She's denying him sex. And because she's denying him sex, he goes to work with other women, and they too are deprived of sex. And so you get a relationship founded, and because the man doesn't get any, that sexual component kicks in with the friendship. Harry met Sally. Can't be done, women, sorry. And boom, you've lost everything. And now you're working as an architect with all males in an office. I noticed that. No women in the background. None. There he is talking about how he's responsible for his wife's abuse. That's the reason why guys don't want to come home. We don't want to be abused. And the church causes that. So, wow, yeah, see, I can keep on going. This is the whole thing. This is the first great commandment. Sex. To be naked and not be ashamed. And it's Lucifer who demonizes it. And there it is. A member of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints' apostolic leadership demonizing women. I think we should end. Way behind.